4:13 p.m. Central Daylight Time, Sunday, August 28, 2005. Extremely dangerous Hurricane Katrina continues to approach the Mississippi River Delta.
At 6 max sustained winds, making it a minimal hurricane right now. And take a look at the track, taking it into the Gulf of Mexico early Saturday.
The majority of industrial buildings will become non-functional.
Filled in with some air,
okay,
not
so
as low of pressure, but
Camille.
Let me talk, Carol.
Translate that for us. I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Well, if you would let me talk.
Okay.
Camille was...
Now here's a look at Katrina from our Weather Radar Network, a close zoomed in view of the eye. You can see we've got some rain bands starting to circle around Fort Lauderdale.
Water shortages will make human suffering incredible by modern standards. The vast majority of native trees will be snapped or uprooted. Only the hardiest will remain standing.
This is Gerkron Paha reporting for NHNN News in New Orleans, Louisiana, where a Category 5 Hurricane Katrina has just impacted the area. In the wake of the hurricane has left behind tons of damage to the city. There is water everywhere, trees have fallen, buildings have collapsed, and there are people stranded on their roof waiting to be rescued. Some are dead, others are injured, and the rest are in need of help. I'm here witnessing the destruction the hurricane has left behind and hoping to gain some more information tonight when I interview 3 people, environmental scientist, a victim, and a government official one-on-one. Reporting for NHNN News, and I'm here today to interview Mac Cooper, a government official. How you doing, Mac?
Good, how's it going?
Good. So, let's get started. So how did you guys prepare for the hurricane?
Well, I was made aware of the devastation coming our way. My job was to try and evacuate everyone in the city so they could get out of harm's way. Even though many Louisiana citizens say that the devastation shows how we were not prepared, I think that we were preparing for a hurricane that was only half the size of as the hurricane that struck.
So when the hurricane hit, what were you doing?
I was trying to make sure everybody stayed safe and calm. We wanted to make people feel like they felt supported. We were by their side to help them mentally and physically.
In your opinion, how well did the government handle the aftermath?
Not well. We wanted to deal with this natural catastrophe as best we could have, but maybe if we had foreseen the need for federal government funding before the hurricane happened, less damage would have been done to people in Louisiana.
So were people given the basic essentials such as food and water, and were they also given, the assistance they needed?
Yeah, although we couldn't take care of everybody, we tried our best to make sure we could get to everybody we could. Everything we could do, we were trying to do it.
So what do you think you guys could have handled differently?
Obviously funded more money to hurricane research technology and secure our city from any other natural disasters that we are aware of. Katrina shows us how we need to be much more attentive to these type of situations. It's embarrassing that the local state government was so assured that we would be safe when levees ended up being poorly built, and overall so much more happened than we expected.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, now I'm sitting here with Devin Waldrop, hoping to learn more about what happened from an environmental standpoint. So, where were you when the hurricane hit?
Oh, I was at my office in New York, and also kind of at my home preparing my gear and stuff to get ready for the trip, because as soon as that hurricane was over, I was going to get on the plane and come on down.
What were you doing? What was your initial reaction?
Well, I was monitoring the storm, but as I continued to watch, the storm continued to get stronger as time went on, which started to make me really nervous. So the wind was picking up and the rain got heavier, of course, as hurricanes do. But the problems really started when the levees broke on the canals, because that's when the flooding happened, and that's when I knew that this storm was going to be much more bigger than we had planned. Yeah.
So how did Katrina affect the environment, such as land, beaches, forests?
Well, that's an interesting question, because our partner NASA did a really big study on it, and I read the data, and it was pretty crazy. Some 320 million trees and 5 million acres of land were damaged and or killed in the storm, which is really a big problem, especially for the carbon cycle, because all those trees recycle the carbon and things. And then it also is a problem for the local wildlife and things, because they're losing shelter. So it's a big problem that we have to really focus on.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Now I'm here with my final guest, Tajon Williams, a victim of the storm. So, what was your experience like during the hurricane?
During the hurricane, I was horrified. I didn't know where my family was, and I didn't know if they were okay, and I was really scared that we weren't going to survive.
So, what were you doing? What was your initial reaction?
Well, I was actually watching the news when the storm occurred, and I wanted to leave the city as soon as possible, and I gathered all my belongings and stuff.
So, where in New Orleans were you when the flooding struck? What did you see from where you were? Did what you see shock you at all?
I was at my home in New Orleans when the flood struck, and all I could see was the water level rising in my house, and people that were outside, you know, I could see bodies just floating in the water. There were people crying, trying to get help, and nobody was there to help them.
So, who do you think should be held responsible for the lack of preparation and the mismanagement of resources?
The government, specifically FEMA, because one, they were the ones in charge of everything, and they didn't accept any help from other agencies. And they had all the materials that we needed, but they kept them in storage.
So, did you feel as an American supported and respected by the government?
Not particularly, but I feel like they could have went about things a little bit differently. They could have been more considerate of the people that were less fortunate, such as me and my family, and they could have responded a lot quicker.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice. Nice.
And subtle, but in even many ways more profoundly devastating, is the lasting damage to the survivors' will to rebuild and remain in the area. The destruction of the spirit of the people of southern Louisiana and Mississippi may end up being the most tragic loss of all.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Please call...